Hi everyone, it's time to take notes over long division. This is the second lesson in your notes packet, and these are notes 1B. We're going to use this hamburger to help us remember 4 steps for long division. We're going to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So those are our 4 steps. And this phrase, does McDonald's serve burgers, is going to help me remember that I divide, does, multiply, McDonald's, subtract, serve, bring down, burgers. When we are doing long division in 6th grade now, we either are going to get whole numbers or we're going to take the remainders and turn those into decimals, which is a lesson that will come up to later in this unit. So for this section, we'll be getting whole number answers and we won't have to be worrying about remainders. So I've gone ahead and I've done this first problem for us so that we can look at this. So first of all, let's get some names down. The number that we put inside this division house, so here's my division house, this number right here is called the dividend. It sort of reminds me of the words divide in, dividend, divide in. This is an E right there. This number that I am dividing by is called the divisor. And the answer up here is called the quotient. So take a minute now and write the 864 inside your division house, and then label it D-I-V-I-D-E-N-D, dividend. And then write the 9 outside your division house and label it D-I-V-I-S-O-R, divisor. And then go ahead and put this 0 here with a slash through it, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And then a 9 above the 6 and a 6 above the 4, and label that quotient, Q-U-O-T-I-E-N-T, quotient. All right, so here's how our steps work. First, we're going to divide. So I ask myself, how many times will 9 go into 8? Well, it won't go into 8 at all because 8 is smaller than 9. And so that's why I put this 0 up here with a little slash through it. And then I said, all right, if 9 won't go into 8, I'll see how many times 9 goes into 86 then. And sure enough, 9 goes into 86 9 times. So because I am dividing 9 into 86, I put the 9 above the last number in my division problem. So 9 is dividing into 86. 6 is that last number. The 9 goes above the 6. So I've done the divide step. Now I'm going to do the multiply step. 9 times 9 is 81. Just a note here, if you're a little fuzzy on your multiplication tables, it's okay with me if you use a multiplication chart. That's fine. And if you don't have one or can't find one online, I'll be happy to give you one. So now I've done my divide and I've done my multiply, and now I'm ready for my subtract. So 6 minus 1 is 5, and 8 minus 8 is 0, so I have 5 left over. Now I check. Remember, I only have this 5 right now. Is 5 less than 9? It is. As long as this number, this bring down, is less than the number I'm dividing by, then I can go ahead and move on. If this number were equal to or bigger than the number I'm dividing by, then I would know that I didn't divide by a big enough number up here. This would need to be bigger. All right, so I've done my divide, I've done my multiply, I've done my subtract. Now I do my bring down. So I bring down my 4. So now I've got how many times will 9 divide into 54? And I know from my multiplication tables that that's 6. Remember, 4 is the last number in this digit I'm dividing into. So the 6 goes above that 4. All right? So I did my divide, now I do my multiply. 9 times 6 is 54, and I subtract. 54 minus 54 is 0. Okay, let's look at our second problem here. Another thing I want to point out to you is that the number that's first in the division problem, if we write it this way, is the number that goes in the house. And the number that's second is the number that goes outside of the house. So it's sort of like we reverse the order when we put it in the division house. So be careful there. First number in the division house, second number outside of the division house. Okay, so just a couple of reminders. Dividend, divisor, quotient. All right. So our first step, remember, is to divide. And does 3 divide into 2? It doesn't, because 2 is smaller than 3. So I like to put a 0 holder up there just so that I know. So now we say, all right, well, how many times does 3 divide into 29? Well, 3 will divide into 29 8 times, because multiply 8 times 3 is 24. So I did my divide, now I did my multiply, now my next step is subtract, remember? Does McDonald's serve subtract? 29 minus 24 is 5. 2 minus 2 is 0. Check. Oh, I've got a problem here. 3 is smaller than 5, so I didn't go large enough. So that means that this number is not big enough. So I've got to go back up here and say, wait a minute. 3 divides into 29 9 times, because that's 27. So again, you want to check here. If this number is bigger than this number, you've got a problem. So 9 times 3 is 27. And then 9 minus 7 is 2. All right, now check. Is our 2 smaller than our 3? It is, so we're in good shape now. All right, so we did our divide, we did our multiply, we did our subtract, and now we do our bring down. Now we've got 24, and 3 divides into 24 8 times, as we've already discovered. Remember that 8 goes above the 4 because that's the last number in the digit we're dividing into. And then 3 times 8 is 24. We do our subtract here. And we get 0. All right, let's look at a third problem here. So again, we're going to make our division house. The first number goes inside our division house. That's our dividend. The second number goes outside the division house. That's our divisor. Now we start. Divide. Does 9 divide into 1? Nope. Does 9 divide into 19? It does. And I think 9 will go into 19 twice. 9 times 2 is 18. So we're doing our multiply. Now we do our subtract. So we did our divide. We did our multiply. Now we're doing our subtract. 19 minus 18 is 1. Check. Is 1 less than 9? It is. Then our last step, step 4, bring down. 9 divides into 18 2 times. 9 times 2 is 18. Subtract. 18 minus 18 is 0. So again, it's divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay, let's look at another example. Now here, the difference is that we've got a 2-digit divisor. So that makes our work a little bit harder. It's still the same steps, it's just a little bit tougher. So again, I'm going to write my division house. I'm going to put my dividend, the first number, inside my division house. And I'm going to put my, oh, I didn't leave enough space there. That's all right, we'll just do this. I'm going to put my divisor, the number I'm dividing by, outside the division house. Now, same thing. 63, does it divide into 7? Nope, so I'll put a placeholder there. 63 into 75? Well, I know that 63 is only going to divide into 75 once. I can only take 63 out of 75 once. So 1 times 63 is 63. So I've done my divide, I've done my multiply. Now I'm going to do my subtract. 3 from 5 is 2. And 7 minus 6 is 1. Check. Is 12 less than 63? It is. Bring down. How many times will 63 go into 126? Now, the way that I usually estimate here is I usually take this first digit and see how many times it will go into my first and second digit here. In other words, I'm saying, well, how many times would 60 go into 120? And I know that that's going to be 2 times, so I would try 2 here, first of all. So I'm going to try that, 63 times 2, because 60 would go into 120 twice, so I'm going to try 2. I might have to go back and make adjustments. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 times 6 is 12, so that works out. Remember, you can always, if you don't like the way I did that multiplication, you can always do this. You can go off to the side and do your multiplication like this. And sometimes that's better because you have a record of the numbers that you've multiplied by. You might need to use those later, and you might not put the wrong number up here. So you could do that multiplication like that. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12. All right, now I subtract, and I get 0. And so I know I'm done. One thing I forgot to do on the other side, let's put our answers right up there too. So 756 divided by 63 is 12. All right, let's look at one more here. We've got 4,788, and we're dividing that by 19. So first I'm going to divide. 4 divided by 19, nope. But 47 can divide by 19. Now I know that 19 is close to 20, and 20 would come out of 47 twice, right? Because 20 plus 20 is 40. So I'm thinking it'll be 19 times 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. Put down my 8, carry my 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, 38. That's pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and try that. Or I could say, I don't know, what's 19 times 3? So 9 times 3 is 27, carry my 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, 57. Too much, right? So we're going to go with 2. All right, so we did our divide. Now we do our multiply. 19 times 2 is 38. Now we do our subtract. Can't take 8 away from 7, so I borrow. Boy, you have to use all your math skills, don't you, with long division? This becomes a 3. This becomes a 17. 17 minus 8 is 9. 3 minus 3 is 0. Now we check. Is 9 smaller than 19? It is. Bring down my 8. 98. All right. Well, again, this is close to 20. 20 will go into 98 maybe 4 times, maybe 5 times. Let's check it out. I'm going to go with 4 first. So 9 times 4 is 36. Put down my 6, carry my 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, 76. And I'll go ahead and check 19 times 5 just to be safe. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry my 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9, 95. Oh, good thing I checked, right? Because I'm going to do 19 times 5 instead. So put a 5 up here, and we saw that that was 19 times 5 is 95, so subtract 95. 8 minus 5 is 3. Is 3 less than 19? It is. Bring down. Remember, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. 38. Now, nice thing is I already have a 38 here, don't I? So I can go back and look right here. I've got a 38. So I know that 19 times 2 will give me 38. So 19 divides into 38 twice. Do the multiply. 19 times 2 is 38. Do the subtract. 0. So my answer is 252. All right, let's look at one last problem here. We've got 920 divided by 23. So I take my first number, 920, put it inside the division house. That's my dividend, the divide into dividend. And I take my 23 and put it outside of the division house. That's my divisor, the number I'm dividing by. And so now we start. Can 23 divide into 9? It can't. Can 23 divide into 92? Sure it can. So 23, that's close to 20. This is close to 80, so maybe 4 or 5 times. So let's try 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Put down my 5, carry my 1. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1. Whoa, that's way too much, isn't it? So that's 11, 115. So we've got to go back down to our 4. So 23 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Put my 2 down, carry my 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, 92. That comes out exactly 92, so that's very nice for us. We put our 4 up here. 4 times 23 is 92. We subtract, we get 0. Now, that's good because 0 is less than 23, so we know we're good there. But we have to bring down this 0. Well, how many times does 23 go into 0? It goes in 0 times. So we put a 0 up here. Because 23 times 0 is 0, and if we subtracted 0 from 0, you can write it in if you want to. It'll give us 0, but you don't really have to do that last step. So our answer to this one is 40. All right, you have finished your notes now. Would you please put a big dot down at the bottom of your notes here, and then I want you to listen to a little song here that I have on for division. Okay, so this is just a fun little song that I hope will help you remember the steps for division. I won't play it all, but I'm going to play part of it for you.
Here's what to expect. You have to break the problem down into 4 simple steps. You divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Do it over and over until the quotient is found.
Before we break the long division problem down, here's a couple of terms that you're gonna hear about.
Divisor is the number that goes into another. How many times it can is what you will discover. The dividend is the number being divided. You know that weird looking bracket is the number inside it. The quotient, now that's another term for the answer. It's a fancy word, but it's what your teacher will prefer. And you get a remainder sometimes when the dividend doesn't equally divide.
Dividend, quotient, remainder, divisor, dividend, quotient, remainder.
You love division, here's what to expect. You have to break the problem down into 4 simple steps. You divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. Do it over and over until the quotient is found.
And now we're going to learn how to divide. It's a math problem, but we'll try our best to make it rhyme.
Now let's divide 75 by 3. You gotta find out how many groups of 3 you'll need. 3 goes into 7 only 2 times. So you write the number 2 on the line.
How about the 7?
Multiply that 2 by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So write that underneath where the 7 is. And now it's time to subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. So be sure to write that. And now it's time to bring down the 5 beside the 1. Now a 15 comes alive. And here's what the next step should be. 15 has how many groups of 3?
5.
If you know your math facts, you'll get it. 3 times 5 is 15.
There, we said it.
So now you write that 5 on the line right beside the 2 above the 75. Multiply the 5 times the divisor.
3.
That gives you 15. So you write that at the bottom of the problem. Subtract it from the first 15. And that leaves you with 0. No remainder to be seen.
Okay guys, if you want to see the rest of that song, you can find that on YouTube. This is the end of the notes for 1B. We'll practice these in class when I see you then.